Okay. Hi, everyone. I know almost everyone here, but not quite everyone. So I will give my brief spiel about our community calls. Thanks for joining us. We have our IIIF community calls each month. They focus on different topics. Sometimes it is consortium business. Sometimes it is new and exciting demos and implementations. Sometimes we'll do tool demos or talk about technical issues that are affecting the community. So if you are here today, we encourage you to come back next month and the month after. Before we get into our larger discussion, which is regarding the restructuring of the IIIF Consortium membership tiers, I want to give just a couple of brief news items. The first is our online meeting is happening next week. If you haven't already registered, it'll happen Tuesday through Thursday. All of our workshops are filled up at this point and operating on a waiting list, but there are sessions occurring each day that are free and open to anyone. The other big event coming up is our annual meeting. Our annual meeting will happen January 1st through June 1st through 4th, 2026 in the Netherlands. And the call for proposals is linked in the agenda. That's closing on Friday. If you are thinking that there's something you might want to contribute, I would encourage you to do that sooner rather than later. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the consortium's managing director, Martin Kalfatovic.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today. We're going to have a discussion about the IIIF Consortium membership revamp and the tier structures. We also have with us Rebecca Hirsch, who's the vice chair of the IIIFC Executive Committee and was also part of the working group that developed this new model. So I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at the new model. Most of the information had went out ahead of time, primarily to the chief contacts for for your organization. So we have discovered that a lot of this hasn't trickled down to all of the people who work on IIIF. So that's what the reason for this community call. So um, a little bit about the process, and I'll let Rebecca talk also as we move forward. So the initial discussions for this started at the 2024 Executive Committee meeting in Los Angeles during the annual meeting. And at that time, we decided we wanted to have some sort of restructuring of how the membership tiers worked, ways that we could both maintain members as well as develop new members. So the preliminary planning and discussions continued. We'd originally had a implementation that was planned for the 2027 fiscal and calendar year for IIIF. But with the different world events that were occurring, have continued to continue, we thought we should revamp these more sooner. So we expedited that process, which led to the establishment of the working group of the executive committee meeting in Leeds. And that group was Rebecca Hirsch of Edinburgh, who's joining us today, Simeon Warner from Cornell, and David Schober, who was then at Northwestern during the planning process. The key takeaways that we developed out of this membership restructuring were actually, before I do that, Rebecca, did you want to add anything in terms of the process or how we came to do this?
No, we just met regularly for a few months, and then presented sort of what we were thinking about for approval and feedback from the entire executive committee.
So out of those discussions, we developed the following tiers. The first is the championship tier. So this again is at the top level at 16,000 US dollars a year. And that again provides a lot of intangible and a few tangible benefits. Those include special recognition at the annual conference and online meeting, an automatic bronze level sponsorship for the annual conference, recognition on the consortium website, support for initiatives and developments of the champions choosing. So again, they'll have an additional input in terms of the IIIF technical development, et cetera. And then all of the benefits at the full level. And this was another significant change. The full level membership cost went from 10,000 US dollars to 8,000 US dollars. And the key new benefit here was one free annual conference registration. So those of you who are from institutions that are full members, we will give one full membership, one free annual conference registration. So that will save 250 euros for the annual conference. And then again, unlimited additional registrations at the 250 euro level. And then we'll also have priority registration for any regional or special events, training discounts for the quarterly trainings, and then a discounted hourly rate for custom trainings. And we do have published all of the training rates on the website, so you can see what those different rates are. And then also a seat on the technical committee, and continuing as a benefit, the ability to be a member of the executive committee. The associate level costs stayed the same at 2,500 US dollars. The changes here were that this only provides one discount annual conference registration, so one at the 250 euro level. Previously, there were unlimited registrations at the $250, 250 euro or dollar, depending on location, registration. Associates will continue to get the priority registration for regional and special events, and then 2 discounted registrations for the quarterly meetings, and then a discounted hourly rate for the custom training. We also added a new level, which is the low and middle income countries. And these are countries as defined by the World Bank that have a certain income level. So any organization that is headquartered in one of these low and middle income countries will be able to apply for the discounted rate of 1,000 US dollars, but will get all of the benefits that an associate member would get. So those were the tiers that have been developed. And right now we are working with all the existing partners and new partners as they come along to see what those tiers are that they might be interested in. The other component of this is that we added an add-on option or a top-up option. So I know many organizations, depending on their fiscal year, may have already budgeted the 10,000 US dollars for their IIIF consortium membership. We didn't want to make you go through all the trouble of having to contact your finance office to change that. So we offer the ability to maintain the 10,000 US dollar level, but then earmark that additional 2,000 to one of 3 special funds. One to support the AllMaps initiative, another for community development, and a third that would go to the Strategic Initiatives Fund. So a number of organizations have already taken us up on this, what we're calling the top-up option. And again, if any of you are representing full members who might want to stay at that 10,000, we can work with you to identify which top-up fund you might be interested in. Rebecca, anything to add to any of those levels or concepts?
No, that was all very clear, I think.
Mm-hmm. So now we get to the discussion time. So I'll stop sharing and we can open up to any discussion or questions. And I know from conversations that we've had, again, many people are unaware of these changes down at the sort of implementer level in your organization. So we're happy to follow up with any questions now, or if we need to talk to anyone at your organization, we can have a specific call with those people. So opening up the floor to questions. Not seeing any questions, but one thing, Rebecca, maybe we could discuss the idea that we just had this morning about the membership development group. Do you think this is Is it too early to discuss that since we haven't told anybody yet?
I think, yeah, I think probably we need to do some more thinking about that before
Okay.
we talk.
I'll just note that again, with any of these types of discussions, it's often difficult to come up with very specific tangible benefits that will get an organization to participate beyond the sort of intangible benefits of community support, open source development, et cetera. So we were hoping in this outline to provide some of those specific tangible benefits, for instance, the conference registration discounts, that would help make the case for the IIIF membership for institutions.
Yeah, not a question, but just a comment related to that. I was interested to see those laid out as that's something that we've discussed kind of now and then at CRCan about our membership levels and how to delineate the specific benefits. So yeah, it was interesting to see how you've laid them out. And being still relatively new to IIIF, it was really interesting just to see how you've laid out the different tiers. And yeah, good to learn about all of that.
Susanna?
Hi, yeah. I think this is quite clear to me too. One question I do have about the add-ons. So did I understand correctly that the fee of 2,000 US dollars is it's an annual fee. So it's not a pay once, but annual if you sign into
Um,
that one.
Not necessarily. So, for instance, so this year you paid 8,000 plus 2,000. Next year you wouldn't be committing to the 2,000 again, or you could change where you're directing the 2,000 to.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just wondering because the all maps thing is quite interesting, but I'm kind of if I we haven't really discussed this yet in my library, but when we start discussing, it's important to know if we go with all maps and get these things, then is it kind of are we signing into what are we signing into actually? Yeah.
Yes, no, you're really only committing for the 1 year, and then
Okay.
next year you might choose a different fund, for instance.
All right. Thanks.
Mhm. And we will be sending out, I think, any day now, a reminder note to all of the institutions that we've not heard from in terms of the confirmation. So Caitlin's going to send that out in the next day or so. And then at that point, those institutions that we haven't heard from will just default to the previous year's invoice amount. But it wouldn't be too late to actually top up after the invoice goes out. Just be a little bit of bookkeeping on our side, but but we don't really have too much else. If there's no more questions, Caitlin, should we call it a month?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can call this our maybe this may be our quickest community call yet. I will give just a little heads up for the next couple of things that we have coming down the pike for community calls. Next week, I'm sorry, next month, we are going to get a demo and Q&A of the IIIF Illustration Finder, which is an AI-powered tool to locate illustrations within a manifest collection. So that's February. And then in April, we have another AI related demo with the folks from the page on how they are using or not using AI to do their HDR OCR in their tool. So that's coming up in February and April, and then stay tuned for March. Okay. Thanks, everyone. And I would say, of course, if you have questions or other folks in your institution have questions, you can always reach out to the staff and we'll answer them to the best of our ability.